Breaking news this morning, a group was apparently planning to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is a militia plot. I even tweeted that it's a militia plot, but I was thankfully reminded by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that the word militia is really just PR for white supremacist domestic terrorists. It's just a gang, that's all it is. They're terrorists who wanted to kidnap and possibly kill a governor as they overthrew a state government, and it's not my job to do PR for them. So if I accidentally say the word militia at some point outside of the graphics that have it, I apologize for that. Militias don't exist. Just because you're white doesn't mean that the gang you're in is anything other than a gang. So let's just say that. But the FBI says that it has thwarted what it described as a plot to violently overthrow the government and kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. The alleged plot involves reaching out to members of a Michigan militia, this is their word, according to a federal affidavit filed Thursday. The people involved in this have all been named. You can see that in this next graphic. We don't know anything more specifically about them, but judging by the names, you get an idea of what sort of thing this was. Several of the members there talked about murdering tyrants or taking a sitting governor, according to an FBI agent. The group decided they needed to increase their numbers and encouraged each other to talk to their neighbors and spread their message. One in particular, Adam Fox, referred to Governor Whitmer as this tyrant and said, I don't know, boys, we got to do something. You guys link with me on our other location system. Give me some ideas of what we can do. And then it goes into sovereign citizen stuff, talking about creating a society that follows the US Bill of Rights and where they could be self-sufficient, blah, 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 that sort of thing that you've seen before. So Yasmin, we've got some more details from the affidavit, but this is fairly new news to both of us. What do you think about this?
I know that we're going to touch on this later on as we discuss the vice presidential debate from last night, but it just goes to show and I am really hesitant to call people sexist or to call out sexism. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt when and where I can, but it's so obviously sexist, It's fear of a democratic, powerful woman, and she really is doing a lot of good for her state, or she's trying to at the very least. And the things that she has to put up with is it's obstructionist, it's disheartening, it's terrifying, it's really scary.
Yeah.
So
it really is. You're 100% right. If I were her or a member of her family, I would be terrified by this, but probably not 100% shocked. Because she has been vilified by right-wing media, by the president himself for some time. Actually, you know what? Let's jump ahead. So I want you to have one thing in your mind as we're going through some of the details of what this terrorist organization wanted to do, and that is that on April 17th, just a few weeks into the lockdown, as some states were being responsible, including Michigan, Whitmer actually cared whether her constituents lived or died, so she did shut down the state. Anti-lockdown protests began, and they received a boost from the president, who tweeted things like "Liberate Michigan" in all caps. And I guess some people were listening, and I guess some people decided they did need to liberate Michigan, potentially by overthrowing the state government and kidnapping and then killing the governor. Will Trump answer for this? Probably not. He won't be made to. But I'm not going to forget about the fact that he called on people in that state to do something about their governor. And when you talk about this woman as a tyrant, and that word gets thrown around on Fox News month after month after month, can you really be shocked when some people decide that she is in fact a tyrant and they need to do something about it? It sort of seems sort of obvious at some point, Yasmin.
It's the hypocrisy for me, John. It's just, he's the law and order candidate, he's the law and order president, but that's not what any of this is. The law and order does not include vigilante kidnappings of governors, it's just not a part of it. He definitely will not condone it. He won't condemn it. He definitely won't say anything against them. I don't think anyone is expecting him to at this point, and if they are, I don't understand why. I have no idea why.
Exactly. Well, he doesn't have time to. He's got to go on another long rant about how Antifa members are buying too many cans of Bumblebee tuna and then they're winging them at cops or something like that.
Yeah,
not a lot of Antifa plots to kidnap Republican governors, I've noticed.
Yeah, they're not really into killing people, are they?
No, despite all of the rumors, they don't seem to. So let's talk a little bit about this affidavit. It's available if you want to go online and find out all the details you can. I just want to mention a few things that popped out to me. July 11th, remember this is after his tweet. A group of them get together to start to create IEDs, the things that are used to kill our soldiers in Iraq. These terrorists are trying to make them in America. Thankfully, their attempt to make one of these bombs totally failed. Because remember, while these people are radical and violent and all of that, they tend to be absolute morons. But one of the members did have a rifle with a silencer that they brought to their firing combat practice drills. So potentially a tool you could use to assassinate someone. They apparently decided that kidnapping Gretchen Whitmer as she entered or leaves her vacation home would probably be the safest thing to do. They were going to grab her, remove her to a secure location in Wisconsin, and then put her on trial. These random terrorists are gonna put her on trial. I wonder how that would go. I wonder how fair that would be. I wonder what the penalty would be when they find her guilty. I wonder. And I can't go through a lot of the comments of what they said because it's laced with obscenities and things like that. But yeah, they had thought about this for months. They'd been coordinating about how to do it. Thankfully, the FBI did their job and stopped it before this happened. And Gretchen Whitmer had already had to have additional security put in place at her residence because this is not the first threat against her. But this is insane. This deserves to be news for a week, but it's 2020, so it won't be.
Yeah, I think it's really surprising how people still think that people won't be able to get away with certain things or that they won't, oh, that's so ridiculous. There's no way that that's gonna go through. But really, I mean, it took an FBI probe to out this and to stop all of it and to thwart it. So these people, they're empowered, they have resources available to them, and there are even less barriers to whatever they're trying to accomplish than there were before. So these people are legit and they need to be a concern for most people.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're gonna move on in a moment because unfortunately so much crazy stuff happens that we are forced to. But in theory, if the president being so irresponsible that he infects himself with COVID despite being better protected than any human on the face of the earth hadn't overwhelmed the news, the media might be able to sort of tie together two events from the last week. One, the president at a debate telling a group like the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by for what they might have to do. And then a militia, these violent extremists planning to take out a governor. That's a week apart, basically, those two things happened. But look, this is gonna get talked about, I guess, for today, but are we gonna draw the connection between those two things? The president giving a wink and a nod to these extremist groups and then them doing things like this? Probably not, probably not. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.